Baltimore County community is shaken and searching for answers as their neighbors are charged with committing heinous acts. Tonight, a Baltimore County 911 dispatcher and his fiancée remain behind bars for sexual crimes against children who were living with them. Welcome to those of you watching on CBS News Baltimore and on WJC-TV. I'm Vic Carter.
And I'm Rick Vitter. Now, it is a parent's worst nightmare. Horrific news for what is a quiet community in Parkville. And police tonight say these victims range in ages from 6 to 15 years old, with most of the crimes committed right at the suspect's home.
Neighbors in their community tell WJZ they are horrified and haunted that this could happen just steps away from their own families. WJZ is live. Annie Rose Ramos is in Parkville.
And Annie Rose, you spoke with those neighbors who say the couple's arrest started with a SWAT team surrounding their neighborhood.
Yeah, Rick and Vic, this entire street was shut down by a SWAT team last Wednesday when they were arresting those two men who were found with multiple children who will now be facing those charges. But Rick and Vic, this is a find that neighbors had no idea would be happening. It took them by shock and horror. But these two men were found with those multiple children. They were being charged now with sexually assaulting as many as 7 kids, the youngest 6 years old. Tonight, 31-year-old Christopher Prunty and 34-year-old Francis Conda, both under arrest in Baltimore County, charged with sexual offenses involving at least 7 children.
They seem normal. It's very shocking.
Neighbors telling WJZ the two men were a couple seen living in a Parkville home with multiple children.
They were always in the front yard. They would be playing with a hose. They would be squirting at his pickup truck, or they had those water guns shooting each other.
Last Wednesday, many woke to a SWAT team surrounding their homes. Neighbors' security camera video obtained by WJZ shows the moments officers swarmed in.
They were coming from the back here through this side yard.
Police taking the two men into custody. According to charging documents, social workers were notified back in July of possible sexual abuse and removing 2 children they found inside, including a 13-year-old in bed with Prunty.
I had seen police cars there about a month ago, a couple, but nobody ever said anything what it was about.
In 2007, Prunty pleaded guilty to sexual abuse of a minor, and in May, the education director at High Road School in Middle River told police he was trespassing on school property.
I don't know why he was out of jail.
According to LinkedIn, Conda is a 911 dispatcher for Baltimore County. He owns a house off Wendell Avenue, half a mile from Parkville Middle School.
It's unnerving.
Now, the two men are facing a dozen rape and sexual assault charges after multiple children as young as 6 years old tell police they were abused, leaving neighbors feeling unsettled and upset by this chilling news.
Nothing ever like this has ever happened.
And Rick, both of those men are being held without bail by Baltimore County Police. Prunty is due in court this Thursday. Reporting live, I'm Annie Rose Ramos for WJZ.
Okay, so y'all just heard that right there, and I wish I could say I was surprised by this, but I'm not. However, that doesn't make me any less disgusted by what I and you just heard. And this is coming out of Parkville, which is in the county part of Baltimore, not the city. So it's more like in that quote unquote nicer area of Baltimore. Of course, you know, the city, you know, where if you think of the city of Baltimore, you know exactly what element is there. And yet again, we have 2 individuals who are in the academy messing with these children. And what's crazy is, as I'm listening to this story, I'm sitting here like formulating in my brain. I said, this story sounds so familiar, not because of who these 2 are, but because just like 2 weeks ago, from the time of me recording this video, I just did another story about another academy couple, 2 men in Georgia who were doing the same exact thing with multiple kids that they had in their home, or, you know, kids that were theirs or kids they were bringing into their home in Georgia. Some of y'all may remember exactly what I'm talking about because it wasn't that long ago that I talked about it. It was like 2 weeks ago. It was probably towards the beginning of September. And now you have this right here. Again, I'm going to ask the question, what is the academy going to say about this? Because, you know, I just did a video talking about how they got mad at Netflix for taking the LGBTQ tag off of that Dahmer limited series on Netflix. And you know what about what he did? even though his was way worse, but still, it's sick either way. But the thing of the matter is, what are they going to say about this if they even mention it at all? See, they can try to shield and hide the degenerates in their community all they want. But the fact of the matter is, there are some straight up deranged degenerates floating through their community. And a lot of the times it falls upon the children. And you heard what the woman said, like they appear normal, but just because they appear one way does not mean that they are, or everything is what it seems. That's the cover. That's the disguise. They have to appear one way in order to throw off the scent. Now, to break it down, this guy right here, if you heard in the audio, he was charged with assault and abuse back in 2007. So this guy has a history of doing this. And I think they mentioned that he got charged again somewhere down the line. And like one of the witnesses was saying in the audio that you heard, why was he allowed back on the streets? All you did was let a serial violator right back out there. And now look at what he's done. See, they keep letting these individuals slide. And this is exactly what it does. All they're going to do is escalate even more. And apparently the one from 07, it sounded like that was just one. So now he has gone from one to some various different ages. They said the youngest was 6 years old and it was 7 in total. And I'm going to say that they know of. It could be more, but they 7 for now. This guy worked as a 911 dispatch operator for the county in which they were captured in. So he worked in the department. He worked closely, with the department. So they had a sick freak right underneath their nose. And how ironic, both of them found each other. So they could be creeps and freaks together. But see, the way that system is worked, they will gladly hand over children to them. I guess all to say that they're trying not to be discriminatory to people who are in same-sex relationships. Remember the same thing with Devontae Hart and his siblings. They did the same thing there. And look at what that turned out to be. Look at the situation that I talked about with the 2 men in Georgia. Look at what happened there. And now this one. I'm like, is anyone seeing the writing on the wall? Is anyone noticing a pattern? Now, before people get riled up and say, well, this can happen with heterosexual relationships too. It definitely could. And guess what? They'll get called out for it too. But my thing is this. When it happens with them, they keep trying to shield it to try to make it seem like it doesn't happen, or it's an anomaly, or it's a rarity. No, it happens more often than people think. And also pay attention to them people who adopt kids and they have them acting weird, or they have them dressing funny. That's the same thing they did with the Hart family. I wouldn't be surprised if they had them doing crazy things with them too, outside of the unfortunate and unusual, if you know what I mean. And also another thing, and I didn't even point this out, and I felt like I should have in the beginning, but better late than never. Look at them. You have one PC guy and one quote unquote model minority. Ever notice that when a lot of the times when it's a same-sex couple, it's who gets caught up in this kind of debacle and commits this level of debauchery? It's usually not a black couple, whether it's 2 men or 2 women that are doing this. Not saying that it is impossible, but many of the stories that come out mainly have involved looking like this guy right here. But since they want to be the model minority, we'll slip this guy in there too. And they are the ones that got the quote unquote hate crime bill protecting them. This guy has 2 levels of protection for him. He got that hate crime bill as an Asian, and he has protections of him being in the academy. And we already know the level of privilege he got. It showed when he got hit with that charge in 07 and won a couple years later, and he was still able to walk around scot-free. I guess it took them years and years for them to actually get there or do their job, for them to realize what was really going on with this dude. And again, this is the Baltimore police that we're talking about here when it comes to the lackluster urgency. Remember, they are in my top 5 most corrupt police departments. They'll go around all day planting drugs and all types of stuff on black people, especially black men. But you have these two right here, and especially this one, because he worked with them, doing God knows what with these kids. But we're the primary target. Like Rob over at Black Light Revelation says all the time, the world is correct. That's going to conclude this video. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, click the bell twice to be notified. If for any reason the bell is not working, I upload my videos in the Premiere style, so you can click the notification on the thumbnail and you should receive it in case the bell does not work. The links will be in the description. I will talk to you in the next one.